So let's have a big round of applause for Nariman Gathers. Thank you so much.
Okay. It's always when you have the rock star mic, you're like, how does this work? Okay, fantastic. I'm a program manager. How many of you meaningfully work with a program manager or an operations manager in your practice? Okay. Any of those program managers in the room with us? Oh, fantastic. Great, great, great. You guys can go to sleep, chill, put your feet up. Be a good time. The rest of you, class is in session. So excited to talk to you today. In the spirit of neuroatypical transparency, I'm going to read my script. If I get off kilter a little bit, I am going to, like I just did, because these slides, who designed them, they're so delightful. I am going to say ta-da, because that's what we do at the D-School when we make a mistake. Okay? Cool. All right. I think, actually, we're going to get a sneak preview of all of this, because I think we're a little too far. Yeah, close your eyes. You didn't see that. Okay, awesome. So, as a program manager, I call myself a lowercase d designer. Our capital D designers are the craft experts doing the creative work. And as a program manager, I am designing the minimum viable process that makes our work possible. Now that sounds very fancy and lofty, but in reality, I am mostly called to put out fires. I am pretty good at it for reasons that will become very clear to you. But a recent memorable fire went a little like this. Our designers built, there you go, 3 immaculate feature mocks. They presented each to their partners. And for reasons that would take me a very long time to explain, in large part because they are very silly and they're always very silly, they couldn't make a decision on which of these mocks they were going to move forward with. Each one was pristine. They basically had the same outcomes. But coalitions had formed around which one of these was really interesting or groundbreaking or the priority for the company. And thus, the project was at risk. I have a pretty standard process when I come into these meetings. First, I listen, I observe before speaking. But on this occasion, I lasted about 2 minutes before I intervened. Option A is too much money, I said. Option B, literally impossible. Option C is our only option. The group, as they often do when I say things like this, laughed. I struggle to decipher emotion, and I don't always know why people laugh when I talk. They tend to do that pretty often. But I do know that my declaration worked. We chose option C, delivered the plan, and we were back on track. Now, afterwards, my teammate told me something I am pretty lucky to hear at work. Thank you for saying that. We really needed it. You are so brave. Brave is a funny word. It literally means able to do scary things or able to do them in the face of frightening situations. Here's the thing. I wasn't afraid. It's really easy for me to make decisions. I'm autistic. I love telling people what I think. I literally can't stop doing it. And over the years, I've been really lucky to use this and my long list of other neurodiverse traits at the D-School, at Parsons, and a long list of high-tech companies. I don't really know how that happened, but I'm pretty grateful I get to do all these things. It's very fun. The Stanford D.School just put out a bunch of designer's guides. My name is in the front of them. You should buy them. But even as others compliment my skills, you're so brave. Thank you for saying it. It's so helpful. I hear conversations that center mostly on our assimilation as neuroatypical people. And they don't tend to reflect the conversations that I know and am having with other neuroatypical folks, namely that we are better at stuff than you. We're way better at stuff than you. And I'm actually going to advance here because I don't want you to get distracted here, but we're way better at stuff than you. Okay, not everything. But I know that neuroatypicals are missing out on some key lessons that we, neurodiverse folks, learn as a way to navigate this absolutely nonsensical world. And I use these skills, this bravery, if you will, to build best-in-class products and experiences. So, because I'm so nice, and I'm so brilliant, and I'm so helpful, I'm going to give you 3 of those today. Those skills are name the stakes, make accommodations, and keep a routine. All right. So I've always struggled to parse expression and tone. It is why I love people with big personalities. They're just easier to read. And at school and work, where the norm is to flatten affect to a certain extent, I find I struggle to understand exactly what others want. Lucky for me, I'm a loudmouth, and I just ask. My successes here lead you to your first strategy. Name the stakes. In his forthcoming book, Super Communicators, Charles Duhigg names 3 core types of conversations. What is this about? How do we feel? And who are we? I love that guy in the last part. Misalignment stems from misalignments on the stakes of these conversations. For example, if I'm starting a what's this about conversation and a peer starts a how do I feel conversation, we don't stand a great chance at solving much. I fix this by being clear. I start with things like, we have to make a decision by Thursday. It seems simple enough. While this behavior is simple, the response can be scary. It's probably why so many people are. Remember the laughing? I find it's helpful to think of these reactions as helpful feedback. They can make us ask better questions about blockers, priorities, and overall confusion. Discomfort is just more information. Look at how happy I am when we're on the same page. Now, a natural next question might be, what can we help to do with all that discomfort? Here's an example. The open office, which I hate, is bright, loud, and really smelly. While it's not hard for me to speak up in meetings, it's really hard for me to sit in these fluorescently lit workspaces for 9 hours. No matter how good I am at my job, and I am really good, bright spaces and loud noises can just end my day. In order to do this work, I use accommodations, remote work, noise-canceling headphones, and a darker office that help me do my job. I find that autistic people, as in non-autistic people, often default to workplace norms, even when they don't particularly like them. But these traits of modern work can be, to a lesser extent, annoying to y'all, too. You may not have to pay close attention to the lighting in your office, but it's likely you do your best work under certain circumstances. And though we can't always control what happens to us at work, we can make sure we're in good form when it happens. You can test so-called accommodations with your peers, turning cameras off in internal meetings, using text-based communication instead of jumping on a call. You may even find that your team is less cranky when the lights in the building aren't so frickin' bright. All right, let's say we find a change that works for us. How do we ensure our new behavior actually sticks around? Great question. For that, you're gonna need a routine. Every morning I walk to get coffee. My friends make fun of me because I will literally do this in a hailstorm. And the joke's on me because as I walked with Steve. Steve, my coffee order was a grande peppermint mocha with an extra peppermint shot and half of, like, one espresso shot instead of 2. That doesn't really sound like coffee, does it? No, it's not coffee because I don't like coffee. But I really love going to get coffee. It is part of my morning routine. When I complete that routine, it's like my brain settles into the rest of the day. It puts me in the right headspace for what's next. Listen, work like life is unpredictable and confusing. I hate it. It's the worst thing ever. As a program manager, I cannot do much to control big shifts in priorities, timelines, and personnel. But I do know routines are a respite. They remind us and our teams that there are somehow still things within our control. Even better, they reduce cognitive load, or the amount of working memory we're using at any given moment, because we don't have to negotiate these tasks in moments of stress. It might be easier, for example, to present your mocks to a very prickly engineering manager if you have an established presentation routine. And the real magic of routine comes with meaning. When we imbue the intentional patterns of routine with symbolic meaning, we create ritual. In Why Ritualized Behavior, Pascal Boyer and Pierre Lénard offer that performing rigid, repetitive actions of a ritual can satisfy our fundamental need for order. I know I have that need clinically. In fact, these studies found that rituals may, among other positive things, improve performance when anxiety is high. This is helpful because judging by how many pings I miss in Slack right now, I would say anxiety at work is pretty high. But meaning only works in this way if it matters to us. Lately, I've heard a lot of nostalgia for the days of pre-COVID office work and the myriad of rituals, happy hours, farewell dinners, and office sports leagues. Office sports leagues that came with it. A side note, I grew up in Buffalo on the border, and I thought that hockey was a really big sport in America. And then I went to school in the South and I played college basketball, and I was mercilessly teased for it. So just keep that in mind when you think about my personality. This is the power of meaning. These practices had the power to tint our work in a rosier hue. People have lost something. The world is changing, and many of us don't have the tools to navigate it. There is a path forward. I know this because the old way didn't work for me. I didn't understand unstructured socializing, so I didn't go to work dinners. I was too overwhelmed in loud places, so I stayed out of happy hours. In looking for tools, I found them with the help of technology, the internet. Sorry about that, y'all. I found this community and this help with the power of technology and the internet. It was filled with spoonies and aspies, geeks and queers, all brilliant engineers and leaders and designers. They taught me how to build systems for a different kind of future. And loves, that future is here. We can teach you how to connect, adapt, and win in our exciting, frightening new work lives. I know the change is scary. I am scared all the time. But if you're willing to listen to that discomfort, to listen to us, to me, pay me to listen to me specifically, you might learn how to be brave. Thanks for your time. I think I can take questions. Can I? Okay, great. I made that up, so anybody. This is my facilitator walk. I also teach. Go for it. Thanks. Absolutely. So one of the things that I see happen, or rather that I have run into literally personally, is that folks will roll out these big diversity and inclusion programs from, I don't know, HR, maybe you have a DEI team, that's fantastic. And they will say, like, the way we're going to make this more inclusive is, like, everybody's going to wear pronoun pins at work. And I'm like, good, okay, great, I'm thrilled, that's fantastic. But, like, what I really need, if you recall, is that I need you to the lights need to be down, or else I can't come into the office. That's what I need. And so I think, like, this is going to sound really flippant, but, like, you could just think of us as people and have conversations with us and say, hey, Nari, when you come to work, like, I think it's really difficult when people misgender you. That seems really hard. We could stick a sticker on your face that says your pronouns so people don't get that right. And I would be like, stop. I need flexible work hours, and I need the lights to go down in my office. Could you get me a desk lamp? That'd be fantastic. And that would keep me in the room a hell of a lot longer. So I think that we almost, in the last couple of years, because we got super excited about it, and there was tons of folks who wanted to, like, rally behind these big institutional behaviors, we just went in the direction of, like, we'll make these big sweeping changes and that will solve it. But I really, really think that, like, the majority of this work, of course, happens at the sort of governmental and the legal level, but happens interpersonally. Just happens about you asking the person next to you, neuroatypical or not, like, what would make this easier for you? What part can I play in that? And sometimes, yes, of course, it's my boss saying, like, Nari's pronouns are they, them, thank you, moving on. But most of the time, it's not these big institutional programs. It's just like somebody being a friend. I'd love to stay, but I am going to hand it off to you, I think.